'Tis the season to watch holiday-themed horror, so we here at JoBlo Horror Originals have decided to compile a list of the best Christmas horror movies. All the films here are, at the very least, set around Christmas time, and some of them take the connection to the holidays even further than that. So here are our top 10 horror movies that we recommend checking out during the Christmas season. Deadly Games, Dial Code Santa Claus. Or Game Over, depending on where you're at. First screened in 1989, director René Manzour's French horror film Dial Code Santa Claus didn't reach North America until 2018, at which time genre fans found out that a strange gem of a movie had been kept from them for nearly 30 years. Patrick Florsheim played a store Santa who's fired for slapping a child. Something I'm sure we all wish we could do sometimes. So he decides that he's going to break into his former boss's home. Unfortunately for him, the boss's young son Thomas happens to be a little badass who idolizes Stallone and Schwarzenegger, and the home is a palace with booby traps and hidden passageways. Although the kid believes the intruder is the real Santa, he does not hold back when trying to protect himself and his elderly grandfather. It is quite the experience. Gremlins. One of the most popular movies of the 1980s also happens to be a horror movie with a Christmas setting. Director Joe Dante clearly had a ton of fun setting loose an army of little creatures, which were brought to life with some incredible special effects, all in this small snowbound town of Kingston Falls. These maniacal monsters were accidentally spawned from one of the most adorable fictional creatures ever put on screen. A furry fellow named Gizmo, who helps his buddy Billy try to rid Kingston Falls of his gremlin offspring before they ruin Christmas for everybody. Gremlins is a lot of fun, and the special effects are still impressive to this day, nearly 40 years later even. Heck, even when they're not convincing, they're still pretty damn charming. P2. Produced and co-written by genre regular Alexandre Aja, director Franck Calfoun's P2 was a box office failure when it released in 2007, and I'm sure that bland title surely didn't do it any favors. And unfortunately, it still feels like not enough horror fans have seen this one. Wes Bentley and Rachel Nichols turn in great performances in the lead roles, with Bentley playing a parking garage security guard who takes Nichols' character captive on Christmas Eve, imagining he'll be spending a romantic night with her. Instead, it turns out to be quite an intense one, full of thrills, violence, and bloodshed. If you like Aja's other works, then it's highly recommended that you check out P2 this holiday season. Plus, I mean, the lead's got a pretty good last name. Black Xmas. While yes, the original is absolutely incredible, I have to credit the very fun and very silly remake, often referred to by fans as Black Xmas. With an absurdly hot cast, this movie decides that it needs to give Billy a backstory, and goes hard with it, complete with the guy eating his own mother, amongst other things. The film oozes Christmas atmosphere and has a lot of fun with its premise. This is by no means on par with the original, but there actually feels like a point to it, unlike a certain other remake of the property. Krampus. After delivering an instant genre classic with his Halloween anthology, Trick or Treat director Michael Dougherty set his sights on making a Christmas horror movie. The result was Krampus, which doesn't seem to be quite as popular as Trick or Treat, but does have its own solid fan base. The story is about a family that has lost the Christmas spirit, being tormented by the demon Krampus and his minions, including masked elves, living gingerbread cookies, a ravenous Jack-in-the-Box, and violent toys. The movie draws complaints about pacing issues and an unsatisfying ending, but there are a lot of fun ideas in it, and Dougherty assembled an impressive cast that includes Toni Collette, Adam Scott, David Koechner, Alison Tolman, and Conchata Ferrell. And special shout out to our writer Eric Walkuski, who is featured on the cover of the Krampus Blu-ray. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yes, Silent Night, Deadly Night stirred up a lot of controversy when it first released, and protests by parents who were appalled to see a movie about a killer Santa Claus were successful in getting the film pulled from theaters. But they couldn't stop it from achieving cult status though. An out-of-character film for director Charles E. Sellier Jr., the creator of Grizzly Adams, this disturbing slasher is full of bloodshed, bare breasts, and awful people. When young Billy puts on a Santa costume and embarks on a killing spree, you fully understand why this is happening, because we've seen him being pushed to the breaking point by one terrible thing after another. And it's a blast to watch him get his revenge. Christmas Evil. It's odd that people were so shocked and appalled by the idea of Silent Night Deadly Night when you take into account that it wasn't the first movie with a killer Santa Claus, or even the second. In fact, just 4 years earlier, director Lewis Jackson had brought us a killer Santa movie called Christmas Evil, about a Santa-obsessed man named Harry, who comes to believe that he is Santa Claus. On Christmas Eve, he drives around delivering gifts to the deserving children, delivering dirt to naughty ones, and murdering adults that have wronged him. This movie may put off some viewers with its slow burn style, but others absolutely love it. John Waters has called Christmas Evil the greatest Christmas movie ever made. A Christmas horror story. Fans of the Halloween-set werewolf film Ginger Snaps are encouraged to check out A Christmas Horror Story, because this anthology actually happens to be set in Bailey Downs, the same town where Ginger Snaps took place. Directors Brett Sullivan, Grant Harvey, and Steve Hoban were also all involved with the Ginger Snaps trilogy. With A Christmas Horror Story, they bring us tales of a haunted school, a changeling, Krampus, and zombie elves. In the midst of all this, we also have William Shatner as an alcoholic radio DJ. While this may not work as well as Ginger Snaps, it's still a bloody good time. Better watch out. The less you know about director Chris Peckover's Better Watch Out before you watch it, the more you'll get out of it. The film stars Levi Miller as 12-year-old Luke, who has a major crush on his 17-year-old babysitter Ashley. Ashley is watching Levi one night around Christmas when a masked person toting a shotgun blasts in to ruin their night. And things get really crazy from there. This movie has some great unexpected twists and turns as the story plays out. And every member of the cast, which includes Patrick Warburton, Virginia Madsen, and even Billy himself, Decray Montgomery from Stranger Things, all turn in a terrific performance. Better Watch Out is a pleasantly surprising film that very much deserves Christmas time viewings. Black Christmas. Director Bob Clark gifted the world with 2 Christmas classics over the course of his career, and they couldn't be more different from one another. One is the family-friendly A Christmas Story from 1983, and the other is 1974's Black Christmas, a very dark and intensely creepy film about an insane stalker targeting the residents of a sorority house. He torments them with obscene phone calls, and between calls commits murder. There are some laughs to be had while watching Black Christmas, but overall, it's quite grim. And Clark brought the story, which was partially inspired by an urban legend involving a babysitter, you know the one, to the screen in a masterful way. And I have to shout out Margot Kidder's phenomenal performance as Barb. This is one of the best horror movies ever made, and it's worth watching every holiday season. There were remakes in 2006 and 2019, but 74 remains the best. Now, are these some of the best Christmas horror movies out there? Let us know if you think we missed any and sound off in the comments. And above all, Merry Christmas.
It's over! Time to get shit-faced!